Right. So now coming to the amendment number 3, right? Amendment number 1, it was regarding the SA 450, the evaluation of the misstatements identified during the audit. Okay. Right. Then second amendment, it was regarding the SA 800, the special purpose framework. And now let us talk about the third amendment, which is regarding the SA 805. Right. So basic standards in the 800 series, that is 800, 805, and the 810 have been revised, right? So what are the changes which have come in over there? Right now, let us check it for the SA 805. Okay, right. So first, what is the title of SA 805? It says special considerations, audit of the single financial statement, right? What does it say? Audit of. It is an audit, but now not of the entire financial statements, not of the complete financial statements, but it is an audit of a single financial statement, that is only balance sheet, only profit and loss account, only cash flow statement, or a specific element, that is the account or the item of the financial statement. Right? Specific element, that is, it could be an account or it could be an item of the financial statements. That means CA is told that auditor only do the audit of debtor, auditor only do the audit of inventory, or auditor only do the audit of the purchases, or only do the audit of the related party transaction. Right? So wherein simple, wherein the auditor has been told to do an audit of the part of the financial statements instead of doing the audit of the complete financial statements or the entire financial statements. Right? So here when we talk about CFS, we mean complete financial statements. We also have another chapter, chapter number 13, which is regarding group audit. Group audit also we have CFS, but that CFS is consolidated financial statements. Your CFS means complete financial statements, right? So it is something like population and sample. And when you check less than 100% of the items within the population, that is called as sampling, right? So you are also, instead of doing the audit of the complete financial statements, now the CA has been told to do the audit of a part. And what do you mean by the part? That part could be a single financial statement or it could be a specific element. And what could be the specific element? It could be an account or it could be an item of the financial statement. Right, so that is was the title of SA 805. What does it say? Special considerations, audits of single purpose financial statements. That is single financial statement, specific element. And what could be that element? Account or item of the financial statement. Okay. Again, all these standards in the 800 series basically divided under three parts: acceptance, planning, performing, and reporting. Right. So again, if we look at the objectives of SA 805, it says what are the considerations while accepting the engagement, planning and performing, and then forming an opinion and the reporting. Okay, right. Then again, I told you whatever is the amendment part that has been put in the red and the bold over there. Right. So it says SA 805 does not apply to the report of a component auditor. And so when you're doing the audit of a particular branch, division, subsidiary component of the financial statement, that is not SA 805. Right. So if audit is done of the part, a single financial statement specific element account item, then it is 805. But if CA is doing the audit of a branch, right, then that branch audit is not SA 805. And then principal auditor needs to apply the SA 600 using the work of another auditor. Okay. So it does not apply to the report of component auditor issued as a result of work performed on the financial information of a component at the request of the principal auditor for the purpose of an audit of the consolidated financial statements. Like, when CA has been appointed to do the audit of a subsidiary, a particular associate, joint venture, and that work is going to be used by the principal auditor. So that will be by applying SA 600. Right, so this over here in SA 805, we are not talking about the audit of the components. It's as simple as that. Okay. What is a single financial statement? It says any balance sheet, only P&L, only cash flow statement. That is a single financial statement. Then what is a specific element, account or item of the financial statement? Like only accounts receivable, right? Or also it says only the schedule of the externally managed assets and income of a private pension plan. Everywhere, what is the important word they are using over there? In notes, right? Including the related notes. Right, so accounts receivable, allowance for the doubtful accounts receivable, that is your provision for bad and doubtful debts, inventory, the liability for accrued benefits of a private pension plan, the recorded value of the identified intangible assets. Right, the recorded value of the identified intangible assets. So the liability for the incurred but not reported claims in case of the insurance company. Right, so that could be the element, account or item of the financial statement. Right, so one, it says identified intangible assets, then it also talks about the externally managed assets and the income of a private pension plan. It then the schedule of the net tangible assets. Right, so externally managed assets, then the net tangible assets, then schedule of disbursements in relation to lease property, and then a schedule of profit participation or employee bonus, including the related notes, including the explanatory notes. Right, so CA has been told to do the audit only of the debtors, or do the audit only of the externally managed assets or the income of a private pension plan, or CA has been told to do the audit of the net tangible assets, or told to do the audit of the disbursements in relation to lease property, or the profit participation, or the employee bonuses, right? So could this be a specific separate question in your exam? Certainly yes. So we could mark it as a 5-star question over there. Okay, what do you mean by specific element, account or item? Right. So, like if client has told you, okay, CA, we want you to do the audit only of debtors, does it mean debtors 10,000 crore rupees, right? Geo Limited, and a particulars rupees, and a Geo Limited, and then you have the particulars and the rupees, and then debtors 10,000 crore, and CA, you have to audit this? Does that mean, oh yeah, we've told you you have to do the audit of a part, so see, here is the information, go for it. Debtors 10,000 crore? No. What does it say? Relating to that particular part. Okay, I understand it is an audit of a part. Okay, only debtor, only creditor, only cash flow statement. But regarding that part, the information should be given in full. Okay, debtors, okay, then what are the debtors which are outstanding for more than 6 months, less than 6 months, considered good, considered doubtful? What is the provision for the bad and doubtful debts? Then what is the accounting policy for the credit sales of the company? What is the aging analysis of the debtors? What are the related party debtors? Right, so the entire Ramayana Mahabharata regarding the debtors is required to be given. And you can't roam around everywhere with a small check saying debtor 10,000 crore, debtor 10,000 crore. No, it doesn't work that way. Regarding the part, the information has to be given in full. That is why it says including the related notes. And including the related notes for everyone, they for each of the items, specific element, they have sent a say. Right, so that is first the introductory part, right? Objectives of the auditor, single financial statement, specific element, account item. And now we come to the discussion regarding the acceptance of the engagement, acceptability of the AFRF, then the planning and performing the audit, and finally we talk about the forming an opinion and reporting. Right, forming an opinion and the reporting. Okay, right. So now talking about the acceptance. Right, so now what does it say? CA has been appointed, say example, only to do the audit of debtor. Now you know what all comes under single financial statement, specific element, account item. But say example, CA has been told to do the audit only of the debtor. Right, so only for the audit of the debtor also, is the auditor required to comply with all essays relevant to the audit? Yes. Right. What if the CA is also appointed to do the audit of the complete? Now, what did I say? Your CFS means complete financial statements. So, you have been told to do the audit of the complete financial statements, and say, example, you have also been told to do the audit only of the debtors. Right. So, in that case, do you need to comply with the standards on auditing for the audit of the debtors? Yes. Right, so comply with all essays relevant to the audit. In this case of an audit of a part of the financial statements, what do you mean by part? What do you mean by part? Single financial statement, specific element, account or item of the financial statement. This requirement applies irrespective of whether the auditor is also engaged to audit the entity complete financial statements. Right? So, pura financial statements audit done. Now you have been told to do the audit only of the debtor. Right? So, what does it say? Separate engagement letter, separate planning, separate procedures, separate reporting, separate file, separate bill. Right? It has to be treated as a separate engagement over there. Okay, if the auditor is not engaged to do the audit of the complete financial statements, that means what? right? Complete financial statements and the part of the financial statements, right? What have I written over here? Complete financial statements, and this is the part financial statements. Complete financial statements audited by PwC. Part financial statements also to be audited by PwC. Now, complete financial statements audited by PwC, but part financial statements they've appointed KPMG. Okay, to do the audit only of the debtor, they have appointed KPMG. Obviously, it will be convenience sake if the same auditor is appointed. But what if different auditors are appointed? Is that possible? Yes, it could be possible. And that different auditors have been appointed. Right? So here, what does it say? The auditor is also engaged to do the audit of the complete financial statements, and here the auditor is not engaged to audit the complete financial statements. Right? The auditor is not engaged to audit the complete financial statements. The auditor will determine that whether the audit of the part of the financial statements is it practicable. Okay, now pura financial statements, they are not telling me to do the audit. That audit, they've got it done from PwC. And now they are telling me, auditor, you just do the audit of the debtor. They are telling KPMG. So you say disproportionate work could be required. And you don't have the same understanding of the entity because you're not doing the audit of the complete financial statements. You may consider saying that this is not practicable. Right? So you have to check the practicability. Then what does it say? You have to comply with all the essays relevant to the audit, including complying with the ethical requirements, including the independence. Right? The same thing we had seen in essay 800 also. Right? Then you don't need to comply with a particular essay if the requirement is conditional and the condition does not exist or the essay is not relevant. Right? So then you don't need to comply if the essay is not relevant or it is conditional and the condition does not exist. Sometimes, if you're not able to follow the procedure mentioned in the standard on auditing, then you need to mention what is the departure and what are the alternative audit procedures you have performed to achieve the aim of that requirement. So, if not the main procedure, what is the departure? What is the alternative audit procedure being performed? Same content we had seen in SA 800 also. Okay, right. Compliance with the requirement of the essays relevant to the audit of a part of the financial statements. Again, what does it say? May not be practicable. And may not be practicable when the auditor is not engaged to audit the entity complete financial statements. You can understand the deadlock situation over here, no? Ki pura financial statements audited by PwC, and now they are telling KPMG only do the audit of the debtor. And so, what does it say? It may not be practicable, not engaged to do the audit. It may not be practicable. Why it may not be practicable? One, it says the auditor does not have the same understanding of the entity environment, including the internal control. Then, auditor does not have the evidence regarding the general quality of the accounting records or the other information. Right? Then what does it say? Auditor may need further evidence to corroborate the evidence obtained from the accounting records. Right? So due to all these reasons, what does it say? If you are not engaged to do the audit of the complete financial statement, it may not be practicable for you to do the audit of the part of the financial statements. Why it may not be practicable? One, it says you don't have the same understanding of the entity environment, including the internal control. Second, you have no understanding regarding the general quality of the accounting records. Right? General quality of the accounting records. You don't have the evidence regarding the general quality of the accounting records. Then you may need to you may need to obtain the further evidence to corroborate the audit evidence obtained from the accounting records. Right? So because of these three reasons, when the auditor is not the auditor of the complete financial statements, but he's been told to do the audit of the part of the financial statements, it may not be practicable. Why it may not be practicable? You don't have an understanding of the entity environment. You don't have, yes, the evidence regarding the general quality of the accounting records. Then further evidence will be required to corroborate the evidence acquired from the accounting records. Right? So in such cases, right, the audit of a specific element, certain essays require the work which may be disproportionate to the work element being audited. Okay, like I have to do the audit only of debtors. And I means KPMG. I have to do the audit only of debtor. बट अब डेटर के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में भी मुझे गोइंग कंसर्न चेक करना पड़ेगा. In the context of debtors also, I'll have to check the compliance with the laws and regulation. In the context of debtors also, I'll have to check for the subsequent events. Right? So what does it say? Disproportionate work may be required. Although the requirements of 570 are likely to be relevant in the circumstances of an audit of a schedule of accounts receivable. So only for debtor also I have to check going concern appropriateness. Complying with those requirements may not be practicable because of the audit effort required. कि कितना माथा पढ़ी करना पड़ेगा. Just only for that audit of debtor also you have to check for going concern, you have to check for subsequent events and all. So it says disproportionate and a disproportionate work. If the auditor concludes, the auditor says not possible, that an audit of the part of the financial statements in accordance with the essays may not be practicable. Auditor says asambhav. ये नहीं हो सकता. ये then what does he do? Discuss with the management whether another type of engagement might be more practicable. तो आप ऐसा करो हमसे पूरा ही audit करवा के ले लो. And that another type of engagement might be more practicable, or they can tell PwC only to do the audit of the debtor, right? So again, this is a candidate for the case study. And this is a candidate when an auditor who is not the auditor of the complete financial statements, he has been told to do the audit of the part of the financial statements. He's thinking whether he can, yes, but he says practicable. Why impracticable? You don't have the same understanding of the entity. You don't have the evidence regarding general quality of the accounting records. Then you will have to obtain further evidence to corroborate the evidence regarding accounting records. Then disproportionate work will be required to be done for that audit of the part. So what do? Discuss with the management whether another type of engagement is practicable. मुझे सिर्फ सुनना नहीं है, ये दिमाग में रखना है, ये एग्जाम में लिखना पड़ेगा और एग्जाम में बस यही लिखना पड़ेगा. ये राज है सीए फाइनल ऑडिट क्लियर करने का. This is the secret that you have to understand the topic, you have to understand the content, you have to remember the exact points, and that is what you have to recreate in your exam paper. You understand? You're sitting straight? Super. You're mind blowing. Okay. Right. So that is what. And then what is the fourth point over there? It says disproportionate work. And a disproportionate work would be required. Okay, right. Then acceptability of the AFRF. Like, they are telling you to do the audit on only of the debtors, but that debtors information they are preparing as per the requirements of the general purpose framework or as per the special purpose framework, which we studied in SA 800. To meet the requirements of a creditor, to meet the requirements of a regulator, to comply with the provisions of a contract. It's in that case, what does it say? If it is general purpose framework, then it is only SA 805. But if it is debtor and that too special purpose framework, then it will become a combination of SA 800 and the SA 805. Right? And again, we need to remember our giant precondition of SA 210. Agreeing the terms of audit engagement. What is the giant precondition over there? Acceptability of AFR. Right, that whether the AFRF, which is going to be used by the management for the preparation of the part of the financial statements, is that acceptable to the auditor? Okay, right, so SA 210, oh my God, what I say, same thing written in the book. Okay, SA 210 requires the auditor to determine the acceptability of the AFRF to be applied in the preparation of financial statements. In case of an audit of a part of the financial statement, this shall include whether the application of the AFRF will result in a presentation that provides the adequate disclosures to enable the intended users to understand the information conveyed in the part and the effect of the material transactions in event on the information conveyed on the part. That's what I already told you. Okay, regarding the part, the information should be given in full. And okay, I understand it is only debtor, but they cannot say debtor 10,000 crore and that's it. No, regarding the part, the information full Ramayan Mahabharat should be given. Right, so AFRF is acceptable and then the adequate disclosures have been given. Right, the information conveyed, effect of material transactions and the events. A part of financial statements may be prepared in accordance with the AFRF that is established by an authorized or a standard setting organization for the preparation of the complete financial statements. If this is the case, determination of the acceptability of the AFRF may involve considering whether the required framework includes all the requirements of that framework on which it is based that are relevant to the preparation that provides the adequate disclosures. Right, so that is the most important takeaway of the word for you over there, that adequate disclosures regarding the part while checking the acceptability of the AFRF. Okay, that is the next one, acceptability of the AFRF. Now we come to the next part of the discussion, considerations while plan performing the audit. Right, so now you have to do the audit of the chotu, the small, the what you say, less than 100%, the part of the financial statement. Now, if it is a special purpose, entire financial statements, we say comply with all essays relevant to the audit. But here now, what do they say? Adapt all essays relevant to the audit. Adapt all essays which are relevant to the audit. Okay, regarding that particular audit of creditor or that audit of inventory, and regarding that part of the financial statements, whatever 38 standards on auditing are there, you comply with those essays as and when required. So you adapt all essays which are necessary in the circumstances of the engagement. And the recurrence of each of the essay requires careful consideration. Even when you're doing an audit of a chotu, part of the financial statements, do you have to consider fraud risk as per SA 240? कि debtor में fraud हो सकता है? Yes. Do you need to consider related parties transactions for debtor? Yes. Do you need to check for appropriateness of going concern assumption? Yes. Are in principle relevant. This is because the element could be misstated as a result of fraud. So that particular debtor, I'm just taking it as an example, it could be misstated as a result of fraud or of the related party transaction, or there could be the incorrect application of the going concern basis of the accounting. Right, so again you see it in red and bold, that means it's a amendment, right? The revised part in the content which has come over there. Then SA 260, when you communicate with TCWG, requires the auditor to determine the appropriate persons within the governance structure with whom to communicate, right? So what, whom, when and how. It is what we discuss in SA 260. To whom are the matters to be communicated? To determine the people. Like 260 notes that in some cases, all of the TCWG are involved in managing the entity. So some entities management TCWG could be different, in some they could be one and the same. And a TCWG management and the application of the communication requirements is modified to recognize this position. Right, so if TCWG management is one and the same, then it modifies your communication requirement. When consolidated financial statements are prepared by the entity, those people who are responsible for the of a single financial statement or a part of the financial statement may not be the people who are responsible for the oversight of the complete financial statements. This point we had in SA 800 also. Like the TCWG, when they have the oversight responsibility for the general purpose financial statements, they may not have such oversight responsibility for the special purpose financial statements. So, here also, what does it say? TCWG. They might be the TCWG who are responsible for a part of the financial statements, may be different from the TCWG who are responsible for the complete financial statements. Okay, then while auditing a part of the financial statements in conjunction with the audit of the entity financial statements, that means same auditor. And okay, you are doing the audit of the complete financial statements and you're also doing the audit of the debtor. Debtor is just an example. So now, when you've done the audit of the entire financial statements, complete financial statements, in that also you would have considered debtor. Obviously, पूरे financial statements के audit में debtor एक particular audit का part रहा होगा. And now separately you are doing audit only of the debtor. है ना, two separate engagement. So now, whatever evidence you have obtained in your audit, can that evidence be used for the audit of the part of the financial statements? Yes. कि पूरे फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स का ऑडिट करते हुए क्या हमने डेटर्स का भी ऑडिट किया होगा? यस। और अब हमें सिर्फ डेटर्स का ऑडिट करना है, तो जो एविडेंस हमें कंप्लीट फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स का जब हम ऑडिट कर रहे थे, उसमें जो डेटर का एविडेंस मिला है, क्या वो एविडेंस हम पार्ट के लिए यूज कर सकते हैं? यस। व्हाट डज इट से? व्हेन ऑडिटिंग अ पार्ट ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट in conjunction with the audit of the entity's complete financial statements, auditor may be able to use audit evidence obtained as a part of the audit of the entity's complete financial statements in the audit of the part. तो जो complete audit में जो evidence मिला है, can that evidence be used in the audit of the part? Yes. You can listen to my sentence again by going behind. Okay, right? So evidence which has been obtained in the complete, can that evidence be used in the audit of the part? Yes. Okay. However, require the auditor to plan and perform the audit of a specific element. But obviously, will you treat it as a separate engagement? Yes. I told you separate planning, separate evidence, separate reporting, separate file, separate bill. Right? So plan and perform, obtain sufficient appropriate evidence on which to base the element on the part. Okay, then the individual financial statements that comprise the complete financial statement, and many of the elements of those financial statements, including their notes, are interrelated. Right? So obviously the notes for the complete financial statements interrelated. Accordingly, when auditing a part of the financial statements, the auditor may not be able to consider the part of the financial statements in isolation. Like I told you, when I'm doing the audit of debtor, I have to check the provision for bad and doubtful debts, though that's a provision. Though I'm doing the audit of the debtor, I have to check the credit sale policy of the company. Right? So you cannot do the audit of the debtor in isolation. It is interconnected with the remaining parts of the financial statements. Consequently, the auditor may have to perform procedures in relation to the interrelated item. So interrelated items को भी incorporate करना पड़ेगा to meet the objective of the audit. And furthermore, the materiality determined for a single financial statement specific element account item would be obviously lower than the materiality for the complete financial statement, and this will affect the NTE of the audit procedures and the evaluation of the uncorrected misstatements. Okay, right, so these are the considerations while planning and performing. Number one, to impress the examiner, you have to say adapt all essays relevant to the audit. And then adaptation of the essay, even though if you're doing an audit of a part, you have to comply with the requirements of the example 240, 550, 570. Then the TCWG, who is responsible for the part financial statements, may be separate from the TCWG, who have the oversight responsibility for the complete financial statements. Right, then can you use the audit evidence which you've obtained in your complete financial statements while doing the audit of the part? Yes. But in spite of that, for the part, do you need to plan, perform and obtain sufficient appropriate evidence? Yes. You cannot say, नहीं मैंने तो सारा evidence वहीं से ले लिया, ऐसे सारा ही नहीं लेना है. You have to treat it as a separate engagement. Okay, right. Then what does it say? Can you do the audit of the part of the financial statements in isolation? No, you may have to do the audit of the checking of the interrelated items also. And for the part, the materiality would be lower than the complete financial statements. Oh my God. Amazing. Do you follow the content? Will you pause the video, read it 3 times, make down certain notes over there? समझा है ना? अगर नहीं समझा है तो you listen to it again. अगर समझ गया है तो pause करो video, you read, you read it 3 times, you make your notes and then you proceed further. So that it's done and dusted forever. Forever, at least for the upcoming attempt or for the final finale attempt. Okay, whatever it is. Right. Now coming to the third part. So acceptance, planning, performing, and now talking about the reporting. Right. So now forming an opinion. Right. So now, in essay 210, we talk about the principal contents of the engagement letter. What are the principal contents of the engagement letter? Objective and scope of the audit. Responsibilities of the auditor, responsibilities of the management, identification of the AFRF, and the expected form and content of the report, and the circumstances in which it could be modified. Right, and which could be changed. Right, so draft format of the audit report, even that has to be given along with your engagement letter. Right, so essay 210 requires that the agreed terms of the engagement include the expected form and content of the report to be issued by the auditor. So even when you're issuing an engagement letter for 210, the expected form of opinion should be included. And the form of opinion to be expressed depends upon the AFRF, that whether it's a compliance framework or whether it is a fair presentation framework, right? And any applicable laws and regulation, and in accordance with SA 700. Because I am discussing SA 805. So it is SA, Standard on Auditing only. So 700 will also apply to forming an opinion. Right? So while expressing an unmodified opinion in case of the fair presentation framework, auditor will express an opinion saying present fairly or true and fair view. And in case of a compliance framework, whether the part of the financial statements is it prepared in accordance with the requirements of the AFRF. Okay, right. In case of a part of the financial statements, the AFRF may not explicitly address the presentation of the part of the financial statement, that whether it achieves fair presentation or so. This may be the case when the AFRF is based on an FRF established by an authorized or the recognized standard setting organization. Right? So the auditor therefore considers whether the expected form of opinion is appropriate. Right? Because the entire disclosures may not be there. So again, you have to check the expected form of the opinion. And factors that may be relevant in considering whether you can express an opinion saying present fairly or true and fair view. Right? So that's in case of the fair presentation framework. Present fairly or true and fair view. What are the factors to be considered by the auditor? One, whether the AFRF is explicitly or implicitly restricted to the preparation of CFS. It says that this AFRF is not for the part but only for the complete financial statements. And whether the part of the financial statement comply fully with each of the requirements of the AFRF relevant to that particular element or the account item, including the related disclosures. I think you should be able to remember the sentence which I told you regarding the part whether the information has been given in full. And also whether they comply with each of the requirement of the AFRF which is relevant. कि वो debtor के related जो भी information है, all the related disclosures should be given. And ultimately, it achieves the fair presentation. Provide disclosure beyond those required by the AFRF or in exceptional circumstances depart from the requirements of the AFRF. This is what we also study in the definition of fair presentation framework. 99.99% of the time we give additional disclosures beyond those required by the AFRF to comply with the requirements of the AFRF. And in exceptional, extremely rare circumstances, we depart from those requirements. Okay. And the auditor's decision as to the expected form of opinion finally is a matter of the professional judgment. It may be affected by whether to use the phrase present fairly or give a true and fair view in the auditor's opinion on the part of financial statements prepared in accordance with the fair presentation framework. Right, so again, this particular small part over here could be a discussion could be a case study question in your exam. And okay, what are the factors to be considered by the auditor while expressing an opinion on the true and fair view of a part of the financial statements? Right, so part of the financial statements, one you need to say whether the AFRF explicitly or implicitly restricts it for the complete financial statements, and whether in the part the related disclosures have been given and whether they have given disclosures beyond those required by the AFRF or in extremely rare circumstances departed from the requirements of the AFRF. Right, so that is our discussion regarding the forming of opinion. Okay, right, now coming further to the reporting consideration. Right, so while forming an opinion, auditor will apply the requirements of SA 700. And as I told you, if it is also a special purpose framework, then you will also apply the requirements of SA 800 and a special purpose framework adapted as necessary. In doing so, the auditor is also required to apply the reporting requirements in the other essays adapted as necessary. This adapted as necessary, we've seen that sentence over here. And adapt with all essays relevant to the audit. Okay. And SA 700 requires the auditor in forming an opinion to evaluate whether the financial statements provide the adequate disclosures, including the effect of the material transactions in event on the information conveyed in the financial statements. And now again related to the part of the financial statements, including the related notes, you have to check whether it is giving the adequate disclosures, including the effect of the material transactions and events. Right, so adequate disclosures, including the effect of the material transactions and events, is to be considered while forming an opinion. right? It is to be considered while forming an opinion. Okay, right. Now talking about going concern. Right, so depending on the AFRF, which is being used in the preparation of the Chotu part of the financial statement, the description in the auditor's report of the management's responsibility related to going concern may need to be adapted as necessary. Right, so management responsibility regarding going concern has to be put in the audit report. The description in the auditor's report of the auditor's responsibility may also need to be adapted as necessary depending on how SA 570 applies in the circumstances of the engagement. Right? Because what did we say? Though it is an audit of the part of the financial statement, do we still need to consider the requirements of SA 240, 550, 570? Yes. So now in your audit report also, it says management responsibility, auditor's responsibility, say example related to, it says it needs to be adapted. Right? What does it say? It needs to be adapted. Okay. Right? Then key audit matters. SA 700 requires the auditor to communicate key audit matters in accordance with SA 701 for audit of the complete set of the general purpose financial statements of listed entity. So as such, key audit matters would not be relevant for reporting of the part of the financial statements because it says complete set of general purpose financial statements of listed entity. So not a part, complete. Then it says general purpose, not special purpose, and that too of the listed entity. Right. Then 720. At other information, the auditor's responsibility is relating to other information. SA 720 deals with the auditor's responsibility relating to other information. In the context of this essay regarding giving a report on the part of the financial statement, the purpose of which is to provide the owner, stakeholders with information regarding the part, are considered to be the annual reports for the purpose of SA 720. And when the auditor determines that the entity plans to issue such a report, the requirements of 720 apply to the audit of the single part of the financial statement. Right? So now you've been told to do the audit of a part. And now it says this part ka report is being given along with the annual report. So now that annual report is again the other information. So does 720 apply? Yes. Does key audit matter apply? No. Does going concern apply? Yes, but in that management's responsibility, auditor's responsibility have to be adapted. Okay. Signature. Even when you're the audit report on a part of the financial statement, should there be signature in the audit report? Yes, along with three numbers: the membership number, firm registration number, and the unique document identification number. Right, the report shall be signed. It shall be signed by the auditor in his personal name. When the firm is appointed, the report is signed in the personal name of the auditor and also in the name of the firm. What does it say? You also need to mention your membership number, also the registration number of the firm. And as I said, nowadays you also need to give the UDIN, the unique document identification number generated on the UDIN portal of the ICAI. Right, then inclusion of a reference to the audit report on the complete set of financial statements. Right, so this is the audit report on the complete financial statements, and this is the audit report, say only for the audit of the debtors. Example, audit of the part of the financial statements. So now in this audit report of the part of the financial statements, can you give a reference to the audit report on the complete financial statements? Yes. Inclusion of a reference of the auditors to the auditor's report on the CFS. Even when certain matters included in the audit report on the CFS do not have implications for the audit or for the auditor's report on the part of the financial statements, the auditor may deem it appropriate, so that is voluntary, to refer to these matters in an other matter paragraph in the audit report on the part of the financial statements as per SA 706. What does that mean? Okay, say the entire auditor's report on the complete financial statements, it is a qualified opinion, and this qualified opinion is say due to inventory. Example, the qualification is due to inventory. That inventory is overvalued by 20 crore. Now, in the audit of the part of the financial statements, you have been told to do the audit of debtor. So now, is the qualification regarding inventory, which is there in the complete financial statements, is it relevant to the audit report on the part of the financial statements? इसे मैम काय संबंध है ना कि क्या लिंक है? ये तो डेटर का रिपोर्ट है, डेटर का ऑडिट रिपोर्ट है, प्रॉब्लम इन्वेंट्री में है. So it is not relevant. But you say नहीं फिर भी मुझे देना है. So now it says you mention this in the other matter paragraph if deemed appropriate. हाँ, अगर ये क्वालिफिकेशन डेटर्स के रिलेटेड है फिर तो ऑडिट रिपोर्ट ऑन पार्ट को भी क्वालिफाई करना पड़ेगा, मॉडिफाई करना पड़ेगा. बट वो डेटर के रिलेटेड नहीं है और मेरा जो पार्ट का ऑडिट है वो डेटर का है और क्वालिफिकेशन मेन ऑडिट रिपोर्ट में इन्वेंट्री का है. So now where you can mention that in your report on the part, you can mention it in the other matter paragraph. Okay, right. So what does it say? Auditor may consider it appropriate to refer to the audit report on a single financial statement, specific element, account or item, do an MUGC included in the audit report on the CFS. And now, the main audit report में MUGC है, material uncertainty related to going concern. अब पार्ट के ऑडिट रिपोर्ट में आप ये MUGC कहाँ डालोगे? यू विल पुट इट इन द अदर मैटर पैराग्राफ के इन द ऑडिट रिपोर्ट ऑन द कंप्लीट फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स देयर इज अ पैराग्राफ रिलेटेड टू MUGC. Right, so you can make a reference. That is what they are telling over there. If the auditor undertakes an engagement to report on the part and also give a report on the complete financial statements, obviously he has to issue a separate opinion for each engagement. So you've been told to do the audit of the complete and also do the audit of the debtor. What you'll say, ma'am, I've done audit of entire, so what big deal for, only debtor ka report? No, you have to treat it as a separate engagement, separate opinion for each engagement. Okay, right. Now, what if these reports are published together? The auditor's audited part of the financial statements may be published with the entity's audited financial statements. है ना? Okay, पूरे financial statements का report और उसी के नीचे सिर्फ debtors का report. Example, right? So now, if the auditor concludes that the presentation of the part of the financial statements does not differentiate it sufficiently from the complete financial statements, obviously always first thing ask management to rectify the situation. Auditor will also differentiate the opinion on the part from the opinion on the complete financial statement. So one, you ask management, second, auditor, you also differentiate. And auditor will not issue the audit report containing the opinion on the part of the financial statements until he is satisfied with the differentiation. Otherwise, the auditor will fall in the soup. He'll fall in the trouble. Understand कि oh my god, the CA is giving 2 reports, God knows what these 2 reports are. So it has to be clear na कि boss, one report is for complete financial statements, this report is only for the debtor. So it's to be satisfied with differentiation. Not satisfied with the differentiation, arna लगा के बैठ जाओ. Ask management to rectify the situation. Right, you also differentiate in your audit report. And auditor says still satisfied with the differentiation, I'm not going to issue the report on the part. Right, not going to issue the report on the part. तो ये छोटे छोटे जो पॉइंट्स है ये पढ़ने का नजरिया होता है कि ये जो छोटे छोटे पॉइंट्स है ये ही एग्जाम में केस स्टडी बन के आते हैं, ये ही एग्जाम में MCQ में आते हैं. और अगर आप प्रीवियस अटेम्प्ट का क्वेश्चन पेपर या RTP सजेस्टेड MTP वगैरह वो तो पढ़ के जाना ही है, पर सिर्फ वो पढ़ के जाते हो तो भाई उसमें से तो आता ही नहीं है, ये तो कुछ नया ही कंटेंट टेस्ट किया जाता है आप पे. And it's a new formulation which they test on you in the exam. And more of the testing of the new formulations will be done क्योंकि ये तो सारा नया content है. है ना? 570 they ask and they'll keep on asking, but that is tried and tested content. वो तो क्या repeat basis पे, repeat order है उसका. बट ये ऐसे टाइप के क्वेश्चंस जब लगता है कि हाँ कि सिर्फ क्वेश्चन बैंक पढ़ के काम नहीं होता है ना? नहीं, ये जब फिर अगर मैंने पूरा सिलेबस पूरे चैप्टर कंसेप्ट ठीक से पढ़े तो देन लेट देम आस्क एनीथिंग, आई विल बी एबल टू राइट द आंसर इन द एग्जाम्स. ओके, राइट, वंडरफुल. नाउ कमिंग टू द implications of the matters in the audit report on the complete set of financial statements. What does that mean? Right, if the auditor's report on the complete financial statements say it is qualified adverse or disclaimer, example, or it has an MUGC, or it has a key audit matter, right? Or there is an emphasis of matter also. Now, whether the auditor's report on the part of the financial statements, should it carry forward this particular matter which is there in the audit report on the complete financial statements? Right? That is the matter that we are discussing over here. ओके कि वेदर के पूरे फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स के रिपोर्ट पे कोई पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट है, सो वेदर दैट मैटर इज गोइंग टू अफेक्ट योर audit report on the part of the financial statements. Let us look into this point over here. Right? What does it say? Implications of certain matters in the audit report on complete set of financial statements. If the auditor's report on an entity's complete financial statements, पूरे financial statements qualified, adverse, disclaimer, or there is an EOM or other matter paragraph, or there is an MUGC, or there is an material misstatement, uncorrected material misstatement, inconsistent other information for SA 720. The auditor. So, if the auditor's report on the complete financial statements is modified, or it has an emphasis of matter or other matter, or it has an MUGC, or it has the inconsistent other information, it says, auditor, you consider the implications, if any, for these matters that may have on the part of the financial statements and the audit report thereon. Right? And the audit report thereon. Let me take an example. Okay, audit report on the complete financial statements, what I've already told you, say it is a qualified opinion due to inventory. And now, in the part, you have to give a report. Yes, in the part financial statements, you have to give a report on the debtors. Example. Okay, now you tell me, okay, for debtors, can you issue an unmodified opinion? पूरे फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स क्वालिफाइड ओपिनियन क्यों क्वालिफाइड है? इन्वेंट्री बेकार है, इन्वेंट्री में गड़बड़ है. अब पार्ट में आपको अपॉइंट किया गया है टू डू द ऑडिट ऑफ द डेटर. तो फॉर डेटर कैन यू इशू एन अनमॉडिफाइड ओपिनियन? फॉर डेटर कैन यू एन अनमॉडिफाइड ओपिनियन? ऑब्वियस फर्स्ट रिएक्शन कमिंग इन योर माइंड इज यस. कि तुम बोलोगे मैम डेटर की क्या गलती है? इन्वेंट्री इज अ प्रॉब्लम ना मैम. So for debtor, ma'am, you can issue unmodified opinion. But if you consider it to be relevant, then you can mention about this in the other matter paragraph, जो हमने ऊपर पढ़ा था. But debtor, ma'am, it says you can issue unmodified opinion. But say, if the qualified opinion on the entire financial statements is due to debtor, now for debtor, can I issue unmodified opinion? Kadapi nahi. Never. Now I cannot. So it says you consider the implications. And also, if deemed appropriate, you modify the opinion for the part also. है ना, ये जनरल रूल है कि इफ डीम एप्रोप्रिएट, जैसे आपको उचित लगे, ठीक लगे, ये थंब रूल है, ये जनरल रूल है. ओके, कि अगर मॉडिफाइड है तो आप चेक करो कि पार्ट का ओपिनियन अनमॉडिफाइड या उसमें भी मॉडिफाई करना है. अब वो बोलते कुछ एक्सेप्शंस हैं. नाउ दे से देयर आर अ फ्यू एक्सेप्शंस. ओके, व्हाट आर द एक्सेप्शन? कि auditor's report on the complete financial statements is adverse or disclaimer. Not a true and fair, not in a position. We do not express an opinion. It is adverse or disclaimer. Now you tell me कि for the part of the financial statement, what could be part? It could be single financial statement, or it could be the specific element, account or item. That means, example, adverse opinion. I'm saying pura financial statements not true and fair. Bekar, not true and fair. Now you tell me, pura financial statements I'm saying not true and fair. Now single financial statement, can I say give an unmodified opinion? Pura financial statements not true and fair, but balance sheet true and fair. Am I not contradicting my own adverse opinion on the complete financial statements by doing so? Am I not contradicting my own adverse opinion on the complete financial statements by doing so? Yes. So if there is an adverse or a disclaimer on the complete financial statements, single financial statements, unmodified opinions, sochna bhi mat, even though if they are not published together. You say, ma'am, they are not published together, let us give unmodified. It says sochna bhi mat, sapne mein bhi mat sochna. Why? Because you'll contradict. पूरा फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बोलते हैं नॉट ट्रू एंड फेयर, और यहाँ बोलते हैं कि बैलेंस शीट इज क्लीन, ट्रू एंड फेयर. नो, यू आर कॉन्ट्रडिक्टिंग. ओके, फॉर अ स्पेसिफिक एलिमेंट, अकाउंट और आइटम, only for debtor, only for inventory, only for share capital, unmodified opinion can still be issued, provided not prohibited by law, it is not published together, and it does not constitute a major portion. Not prohibited by law, not published together, does not constitute a major portion. Then it says फिर भी कि पूरे financial statements adverse disclaimer, महाकाल, it's like dangerous, very bad situation of the entire financial statement. But specific element, account item, Can you still issue an unmodified opinion? Yes, subject to three conditions. Not prohibited by law, not published together, does not constitute a major portion. Okay. Then, if the auditor's opinion on the entire financial statements is a disclaimer of opinion. And now, why is there a disclaimer of opinion? It is due to the results of operation and the cash flows. Right. So, now to the exception, we talk one more point. Okay. Auditor's report on the complete financial statements is a disclaimer of opinion. And why is there the disclaimer? Due to the results of the operation, that is profit and loss account, and due to the cash flows. Right? Due to the cash flow statement. What does it say? For single financial statement, right? For single financial statement, which is your balance sheet, can you still issue an unmodified opinion? It says yes. So first, there is an exception. Unmodified opinion can never be issued if it is an adverse or disclaimer for complete financial statements. Now, to the exception, there is an exception. Okay, if the auditor's report on the complete financial statements is a disclaimer, and the disclaimer is due to profit and loss or cash flow, then it says for balance sheet, you can still issue an unmodified opinion. Right? For balance sheet, you can still issue an unmodified opinion. Right? So that is what they are talking about over there. Number one, consider. Number two, if the auditor's opinion on the complete financial statements is adverse or disclaimer. What does it say? Single financial statement, unmodified opinion, sochna bhi mat. Right? Even though if they are not published together because it will contradict. However, for a specific element account item, what does it say? You can still issue an unmodified opinion provided it is not prohibited by law, published together, and it does not constitute a major portion. Okay. Right. The auditor shall not express an unmodified opinion on a single financial statement if he is given an adverse or disclaimer on the complete financial statements, even if they are not published together. I've already discussed that point. However, to the exception, there is an exception. Okay, if the auditor's report on the complete financial statements is a disclaimer, due to profit and loss cash flow statement, unmodified opinion can be given for the balance sheet. State of affairs is permitted since the disclaimer is in relation to the P&L and cash flows and not in respect to the financial statements as a whole. Right, so I hope you have understood these points over here. Point number one, consider the implications. Point number two, single financial statement, unmodified opinion cannot be issued even if they are not published together. Right? Even if they are not published together. Then point number four, what does it say? That specific element account item, you can still issue an unmodified opinion if there is adverse disclaimer on complete financial statements. If not prohibited by law, not published together, does not constitute a major portion. And then if it is a disclaimer due to results of operation cash flows, then for state of affairs, you can still issue an unmodified opinion. Right, so now, right, so one, what does it say? Consider the implications, if any. Then after that, they've given the specific conditions for adverse disclaimer and all. Right, so consider the implication कि पूरे financial statements का report is modified. तो adverse disclaimer मैंने specific discuss किया है, but now general. या पूरे financial statements has an emphasis of matter or other matter. या complete financial statements report there is an MUGC or there is the other information which is inconsistent. It says what? Now the complete financial statements, and now for the part financial statements, you have to consider the implications. You have to consider the implications. And what are the matters to be kept in mind while considering these implications is our next point for discussion. Right? What are the matters to be kept in mind? Right, so it says require the auditor to consider the implications, if any. Are you seeing the word over here? Implications, if any. Here also, what did they say? Implications, if any. Right, so now, what are the factors that may be relevant in considering those implications? Include R raised to 50. Read, revise, 50 bar. 50 times. Learn it by heart. Do the writing practice. इसे मैम नहीं आया तो नहीं आया भाई, अब उस पे क्या कर सकते हैं? अब नहीं आया, अगले टाइम में आएगा। इसे मैम हमें नहीं रुकना है, तो ठीक है फिर पढ़ लो। अगर नहीं रुकना है तो पढ़ लो। Okay, right, factors that may be relevant in considering implication. One, the nature of the matter. Okay, what is the matter? Second, what is the pervasiveness of the matter? कि क्या है, अरे पूरे ऑडिट रिपोर्ट में रिपोर्ट इज मॉडिफाइड ड्यू टू इन्वेंट्री. Okay, then what is the pervasiveness? Is it affecting the entire financial statements? Then the nature and extent of the difference between the AFRF for the complete financial statements and the AFRF for the part of the financial statements. Then the extent of the difference between the period covered by the complete financial statement and the period covered by a part of the financial statement. Right? So, one, it says the nature of the matter. Second, the pervasiveness of the matter. Second, the extent of differences between the AFRF. Second, the extent of the timing differences regarding the period covered by the complete and the period covered by the part of the financial statements. Then, the time elapsed since the date of audit report on the complete financial statements. Okay, complete financial statements report issued on 25th of April, and now debtor report you're giving on 20th of June. Right? So the time elapsed, nature of the matter, pervasiveness of the matter, then the extent of the difference of the AFRF, then the extent of the time, the period covered, and then after that the time elapsed since the date of audit report on the complete set of the financial statements. Matters. हमने क्या बोला कि अगर auditor's report on the complete financial statements is modified or it has emphasis of matter, other matter also, whether you should modify your opinion for the part also, it says it depends. You have to consider the implications. How do you consider the implication? Nature of the matter, pervasiveness of the matter, the difference in the application of the AFRF, the difference in the time covered for the reporting on the, right, the difference in the period covered by the complete financial statement and the period covered by the part, and the time elapsed since the date of the audit report on the complete financial statements. Okay. In the case where there is a qualification of the audit report in relation to the debtor in the audit report on the complete financial statement and the single financial statement is related to debtor, or the specific element is related to debtor, it is likely that it will have implications for the audit. Yes, so if the entire report, the modification is due to debtor, it will have an implication on the part also. If on the other hand, if the qualification of the audit report on the complete financial statements is for long-term debt, it is less likely that there would be an implication on the audit of the debtor and the audit report for the debtor. ये तो सारा इंग्लिश है, एसेंस तो मैंने आपको बता दिया है. And I have already told you the essence of our discussion. So, oh my God, isn't it a wonderful standard that we have discussed over there? Yes, SA 805, right? So, looking forward to see you guys in the next video, in which we will discuss SA 810. Okay, so yes, seeing you in the next video. Okay.